It's day 2 of the highlights, suckers, and you can tell because I lost my voice. Actually, no, my voice is still okay, but it'll be lost later. We're here in the ADATA suite where they've got 2 crazy demos running. So number 1 is that little custom PCB over there on the right. That has a full SSD built into what actually looks about the size, maybe a little bit bigger, of a single NAND flash chip. So it contains both a controller and NAND flash, and it's available in up to 128 gig configuration. This is optimized for things like tablets, where higher performance is definitely better, but you don't need extreme performance. Speaking of extreme performance, they also have one of the few live working samples in the world of an SSD featuring the upcoming LSI 3700 series controller. We're talking a controller that is PCI Express compatible. It's SATA 3 compatible out of the, well, not out of the box, out of the, like, you know, sheets and sheets of chips that someone like ADATA would buy in order to actually build drives with it. But the point is, it's a very versatile chip. It has updated error correction. It has updated encryption. It's available in up to 2 terabyte capacities at least, because that's what they have running here. But unfortunately, we can't demo any performance or anything like that because we're still a long way away from launch. But the point is, they've got it running. It's actually working. I did kind of look around and see if they have any other SSDs that the system could be running off of, and the answer is no. This next highlight does not go inside your computer, it goes outside your computer, and this, good timing for that one to come up. This is Corsair's upcoming fully RGB LED backlit keyboard. It features membrane switches, which are, of course, of the highest quality and the best in terms of tactile response. See, I got you there. They feature Cherry MX switches. They're going to be available with red switches, blue switches, and brown switches. And this keyboard has the most, hands down, the most advanced LED backlighting that we have ever seen. I mean, you've seen LED backlit keyboards with like cool ripple effects and stuff like that. It's got nothing on this. It actually uses a special processor from Panasonic that is intended for use in commercial displays, like commercial LED billboards and stuff like that, in order to achieve pretty much anything you could want to do, whether it's using the Corsair software that will be included or whether it's creating your own software, because Corsair's approaching this from a completely open standpoint, and they'll allow you to even write your own apps for it. Well, not apps, but your own way of illuminating the keyboard. Look at that Easter keyboard. Another show highlight for you guys. This is the Stellar Mini from Patriot. Now, Sony made waves when they announced their on-the-go on one side, regular USB on the other side, flash drive, and I was kind of like, what are you talking about? That's not a big deal. I'm holding a Patriot Stellar right now, and it's not only USB 2, it's USB 3, and it has a built-in flash drive. Well, Patriot's not resting on their laurels of being ahead of Sony's big news once before, and now we have the Stellar Mini, which is on the go. So on one side, you've got a micro USB port that's compatible with on-the-go compliant smartphones and tablets, and then on the other side, a USB 3 port. It's available in 16 gig, 32 gig, or 64 gig configurations, and it is even smaller. In fact, it is the smallest. It is barely bigger than the size of a USB 3 port alone. Now, there's a couple of different designs on here, and I don't think they're 100% sure which one is actually going to make it to market, but that's the whole point of this show, is showing you guys early stuff that's just not quite out yet. Now, there's plenty of interesting stuff in the AMD booth, but as far as show highlights go, if we were going to pick one of them, this is probably it, guys. This is a prototype slash reference design slash whatever you want to call it. It is an engineering sample AMD tablet that is plugged into an engineering sample AMD controller, and the point of this device is to show you what their upcoming Mullens platform can achieve in terms of gaming. So I'll show you guys the tablet itself for a moment here. It's okay, it's a tablet. They won't tell me anything about it. So all I can tell you is it's square. It has a quad core. It presumably has a graphics processor of some sort because we're running Dirt over there, we're running FIFA 14 here, and we're running Pro Evolution Soccer right here, and they're all running at what I'd consider to be an acceptable frame rate. Now, it doesn't end there, guys. This is just ridiculous, because I'm gonna get the camera to pan over that way for just a second. So they got a couple more tablets running demos and all that kind of stuff, but this is running the same hardware as the tablet. Okay, so this is where the brains are actually going. So it's actually mounted on the top of the TV right here. It's got a camera on the front. It has a single DisplayPort connector on the back, and it's got what is presumably a power switch of some sort. And then that uses a standard that AMD is calling dock port to connect to this tiny little Featherlight box down here, which also has a DisplayPort connector on it, so that's the whole dock port concept. Power in comes in here, HDMI out to the TV goes here, and then finally there's a USB port. Now this is just something that they whipped together for the show here, but the idea is that if you were going to build something like an embedded TV with a real processor in it for a change, I mean this is running Windows 8.1, this kind of technology could enable it within a very, very small power envelope and presumably at a very low cost with performance that is just unlike anything we've ever seen in a device like this before. So we're here at the Logitech booth, closing out the day with our highlight being the Logitech G Series PowerShell. So this is both a game controller as well as an external battery pack for your iPhone 5, iPhone 5S, or iPod Touch 5th Gen. The basic design is pretty straightforward. So you've got your 4 buttons over here, A, B, X, Y. You've got a dedicated pause button. This is part of Apple's standard and the way that they want these third-party controllers to conform and all have a pause button, which I totally get. It's nice to be able to pause a game in the middle of it. They've also got a headphone jack here that has a handy-dandy little adapter that allows you to run your headphones without interfering with your hands in the game you're trying to play. And there are 2 shoulder buttons on the top of the unit that have quite a nice, grippy, tactile feel to them. Rounding out the buttons, we've got a D-pad over on the left-hand side, exactly where it should be, as well as a little lock button adapter. So it's a little lever, so all you have to do is kind of press that in one direction, you can lock and unlock the phone. Speaking of levers, the lightning connector is on a little hinge there so that you can actually get the phone in and out without accidentally damaging that sort of small and somewhat fragile connector. On the left-hand side of the unit, we've got power for the PowerShell itself, as well as a wrist strap, and then moving around to the back, we've got quite a nice grippy rubberized back, as well as a camera hole that's going to work with iPhone 5 and iPhone 5S, and finally an LED that gives you an indication of when the unit is powered on, it'll glow blue, and then when the unit is low on battery, it'll flash red to let you know that something is up. The PowerShell does support pass-through power, so what that means is when the iPhone is inside the device, you can just plug into the USB port on the bottom of the unit. It will charge first the phone inside, then it will top up the PowerShell, and you can do the whole thing in about 6 hours. Thanks for checking out today's highlights of CES on NCIX Tech Tips. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this from ncix.com.